My friends, how are you? It is fantastic to see you for yet another video, but we have another complete disaster brought on by Donald J. Trump today, as another trucking company has just collapsed in America, and this time it is a big one, my friends. So we are going to talk about that. See, today is an interesting day because if you're a guy that likes being right about things on the internet, then today's a pretty damn good day. But if you're a person in America that is struggling with Donald Trump's failing economy, worried about your job security or where your next meal is going to come from because Donald Trump keeps fucking everything up, then today is nothing but bad news. And for me, I'm torn, my friends, because just a few seconds ago, I referenced a guy that likes to be right about things on the internet. That was about me. I was talking about myself. I do enjoy being right about things on the internet, but also I'm a truck driver in Donald Trump's collapsing economy that has to deal with the fallout of whatever stupid decisions he continues to make for the American people. So I guess today is just right down Broadway, just sort of middle of the road for me. It's got some good news and it's got some bad news. And the good news is, well, I get to be right about shit on the internet. I don't know if that really counts for anything, but once again, I'm going to talk about the collapse of the trucking industry, and you bet your sweet ass the angry Trump-humping truckers will be here to tell me that I am wrong about everything and I am a moron and I don't know what's going on. But my friends, you have to understand, I don't mind telling truckers the truth about what is going on and telling the American people the truth about what is going on, because I was kicked out of the Brotherhood of Trucking over 10 years ago for calling truckers out on their bullshit way back then. Things like electronic logging devices really screwed up this profession. Never mind the fact that our wages and our rates immediately doubled overnight as soon as electronic logs were made mandatory, because it removed all the artificial capacity from the market from the guys that were illegally running logbooks, artificially inflating the capacity out here and driving all of our fucking rates into the dirt. The guys that miss driving 22 hours a day for less than half the money that they make now, those guys don't know what they're talking about. The guys that said it's impossible, my friends, it's impossible to drive an automatic semi-truck on a mountain. It's extremely dangerous. Those guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. See, it's actually much safer to drive an automatic semi-truck on a mountain because you never have the risk of the driver taking the truck out of gear and not able to get it back in gear, which causes, if you can't get the truck back in gear, it causes a free-falling truck coming down the goddamn mountain that most of the time kills people at the bottom. But you have to understand, a lot of truckers have tied their masculinity to shifting gears in a truck, and it's not really the route that I would take. It wouldn't be me on the internet telling people that I need a long, hard stick in my hands to feel like a man every day, but hey, to each their own. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into. So I am here today once again to tell you about another absolute disaster in Donald Trump's failing economy and how it has hit the trucking industry yet again, and a little sooner than I had predicted. So we are talking about a trucking company called 10 Roads Express. 10 Roads Express was a massive, massive contractor to the United States Postal Service that had 2,600 truck drivers. On top of the truck drivers, they had, of course, the office staff and the maintenance, truck maintenance department, and many other departments that go into making a trucking company run. I do not know the final tally of how many people are losing their jobs on this one particular thing, but it is thousands at this point that just got wiped the fuck out by Donald Trump's failing economy. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, and I am going to explain why this is really bad. And I mentioned the Postal Service, and we all know that the Postal Service is sort of a thing of the past at this point. It still obviously exists, but it's not near as popular as it used to be, right? I don't know about you guys, but my mail is just full of credit card offers and scam warranties for the cars at home and all this bullshit. It's very rare that the mail is actually used for anything useful. So I'm going to explain why this is actually really bad. But the mail is sort of the postal service. So what I'm trying to say is sort of par for the course. But don't worry, we'll go through it. The postal service is just a thing that is going away, and it has been for a long time. So I'm not going to pin that particular part on Donald Trump. But this company said that they have been losing like 70% of their revenue for at least the last year due to issues with the postal service and the rates that they are running for and shit like that. From my understanding, they were union drivers. I would have to double check that, but what I read over was that they were union drivers. And you guys would be shocked at the amount of truck drivers out there that are anti-union. This fucking industry is ass backwards as far as the people that work in it is concerned. You got truckers out here actively rallying for lower wages for themselves because they think it means lower wages for everyone else. They don't give a fuck about everyone else. So you got every truck driver out here tries to keep wages low because they think that means that everyone else will be affected by it. And truckers are notoriously anti-union. It is fucking bonkers when you think about it. But they notoriously anti-union, and they will of course blame the union for this and say it was the union's fault that this trucking company went under. But there is so much more to unpack to this entire fucking thing. So we can safely say that there was a possibility that this trucking company was going to have to give up on the United States Postal Service contract at some point or another. We all kind of assumed that was going to be a thing that was going to happen. But what is really shocking about this is that there is so many other things that could have been done in a good fucking economy. And listen, like I said, I got to hear from these wacky ass truck drivers every day. I had a guy a couple days ago that told me about how he spent 35 years in trucking, and then he went on to a tirade basically about how it's the immigrants' fault that the trucking is as bad as it is. And listen, scapegoating the immigrants is something that lazy people do, something that unintelligent people do, and that's just the fucking facts, right? You got to be as dumb as a fucking rock to scapegoat immigrants anytime something goes wrong. Because in a healthy economy, an expanding economy, or even a sustaining economy, it would be normal to lean on immigrant labor to help carry the American economy. Now, like I've always said, you can make the argument that there is exploitation of people when it comes to immigrant labor, and you would be 100% right about that. And that's an argument we could certainly have. But in an economy that is expanding or sustaining, you would probably need outside help, let's say it that way. And anytime you get into a position where you have to start cutting people, the first group that everybody looks to, excuse me, sorry. I don't know what was going on with me just there. I had to catch my breath real quick. But the first group everyone or a lot of people look to is we've got to get rid of the immigrants in trucking, right? Or whatever industry you're talking about. And if you blame immigrants in this industry for what is going on, it's the easiest way to tell me that you don't know dick about how this industry actually fucking works. And it's quite an amusing thing because you got to sit and listen to these people who you imagine have a smug fucking grin on their face while they say the dumbest shit that anyone's ever fucking heard. And I always laugh at the well, they can't read the damn road signs, they're a hazard, they gotta go. You know what, I gotta be honest with you, I don't want to hear a fucking thing from a white American truck driver about reading road signs until they start reading the fucking road signs themselves. I drive these highways every day, and when we come up on a 55 mile per hour construction zone, you will see every time a white American trucker blowing through that construction zone at 70 miles per hour. Apparently that guy couldn't read the fucking sign, and that is a disqualifier according to the white American truck driver. There are truck drivers out there that believe when you're coming up to a construction zone where the signs say use both lanes to the merge point, they believe that that means put their fucking truck right between both lanes so no one can get around them because they're entitled brats that think they should go first. That's not reading the fucking road sign now, is it? So if the argument from the white American truck driver is that an immigrant truck driver cannot read the road sign, I expect to see better from the white American truck driver from now on, because you guys are not demonstrating that you can read the road signs either. Ask me how I know. I spend every goddamn day watching you dipshits do whatever fucking nonsense you want to do because you're an entitled white brat. I'm white too, I'm allowed to say it, that thinks you can do whatever the fuck you want. But the minute somebody with a little bit darker skin than you steps out of line just a little bit, oh my god, our hair is on fire, the immigrants are fucking up the entire thing. The immigration is not the problem, my friends. That is not what's going on here. So the point I was making with that is, when you start to have a shrinking economy, you look for someone to scapegoat, and that in America always ends up being the immigrant, and that is just the way it goes. But it is not long before the natives, I guess, to that country, I mean, as native as you can be in America. I understand there are the actual Native Americans, and then there is every fucking buddy else. That's how this works here, all right? Oh, I'm out of breath today. I think I'm on a little bit of a roll. I'm not sure if I'm doing good on this video or not. I'm not really sure. But once you run out of immigrants to blame and your industry continues to shrink, then you eventually reach a point where the white American truck driver now has to lose their job. And that is the point we are at now. And it had nothing to do with the immigrant. It had everything to do with Donald Trump fucking up the economy and trying to make cuts to the immigrant labor force first in hopes that the American people would not notice what was happening. And now there is no way around it, my friends. So back to the point about this trucking company that is going under. It's a very interesting thing, because they have notified the United States Postal Service that at the end of their contract, which ends on January 30th, the company 10 Roads will cease operations and will no longer be working with the United States Postal Service, or period. Well, here is where it gets to be super fucking interesting. This is a company with 2,600 trucks, 2,600 trucks. This isn't the biggest trucking company in America by any means, but it is a very, very large trucking company. They have all those assets, they have all those trucks, they have all those drivers, they have all those trailers. I don't know the exact amount of trailers, but if I were to guess, with them having about 2,600 trucks, I would bet they would have a minimum of 5,000 trailers, maybe even more than that, because it is common for us to drop trailers at a location, wait for them to load it or unload it, and then another driver will come along at another point and grab that trailer and drop them a completely new one to use. It's called drop and hook. That's the way we do things out here. So companies normally have more trailers than trucks. And we're talking about a company, like I said, with all these drivers, all these trucks, all these trailers, terminals, at least one terminal, all this maintenance, mechanical staff to keep the trucks running, office staff, dispatchers, load planners, payroll departments, safety departments, all this fucking thing. This is a full-blown fucking trucking company. So in a decent ran economy where things were going just okay, good enough to sustain at very least, then a trucking company deciding they were going to stop working with the Postal Service wouldn't be the worst thing ever. What they could do at that point is just pivot to new customers, all the retailers, all the distributors all over this country, out to the ports, whatever they want to do, and they could set up some drop and hook accounts with them, and they could set up this whole new freight network, because the American people demand products, and we still need product to move around this country. And it would be very easy for a company of this size to start making that pivot now, to start working on these contracts, to setting up new lanes, all of these fucking things. But this company 10 Roads has decided to just call it quits at the end of January. Do you want to know why? Because the leadership of their company knows the same fucking thing that I know. Come January, February, in this country, the freight market is going to fall through the fucking floor, and it does not matter if they decide they want to pivot and go work with other companies, because at that point they are just delaying the inevitable, and the inevitable is their company is going to shut down no matter what. That is what's going on. And I have been sort of documenting what has been going on with trucking ever since Donald Trump has came in office, but more importantly, ever since Liberation Day, when he decided he could illegally put tariffs on all these countries all over the world, as we watch the freight market start to collapse right in front of our fucking eyes, and especially through this holiday season, right fucking now. Right now is when us truck drivers should be going full-blown balls to the wall, making our money and all this shit. I am in a truck stop right now, and I cannot show it to you because I value my privacy, but this place is a fucking ghost town out here, where we should be busy as hell moving freight all over this country, truck drivers in and out of the truck stops, dead fucking silent. So the point is, I know I've already made it, but I need to remake this point. I think it is not surprising that the United States Postal Service is no longer providing reasonable wages or rates or what have you to a trucking company. That does not shock me in the least, because the United States Postal Service, for the most part, is an antiquated idea that will eventually go away anyways as we become less and less reliant on it. All right. The problem is that this trucking company knows that even though that is the case, and it's unfortunate for them, they know that they do not have an alternative. There is no way for them to save their business whatsoever by the time end of January comes around and we find out that the United States barely has a freight market, because those are the 2 slowest months of the year. Considering right now is the holiday season and nothing is happening out here, we have to assume that it is going to be a bloodbath next month. And I told you guys this, I think just last week, but I've been telling you for months that when we get to those months, we are going to see massive trucking companies collapse, and this is the first one that we're going to see. I will not be surprised next month to hear some big fucking names leave the trucking industry or severely downsize, and I want to give you guys some names that you need to be aware of. If you, in a month or two, start to see these names come up as trucking companies that are closing down or reducing their workforce, it is time to head for the fucking hills, because the economy has fucking died, my friends. And those are companies like Prime Inc., not to be confused with Amazon Prime, Swift Transportation, Schneider, Werner, Crete. Crete's a big one that works with Walmart a lot. If we see any of those names come up in the next few months, this economy is absolutely fucking done, my friends, and we are watching the whole goddamn thing come down. And you guys remember, when I bring this up, I always tell you that it's all about outrunning the other guy while he's trying to outrun the bear, right? We've talked about this quite a few times, and we are seeing as this whole trucking thing collapses right in front of us, and it's fine. I think it's fucking fantastic. That sounds like a shitty thing to say, but there are so many truck drivers out there that were consumed with worrying about if they got to be in the cool truck drivers club, so they fuck yeah Trump. We're all consumed with worrying about everybody else's genitals, so fuck yeah Trump. And instead of worrying about the economic factors that would impact them in a negative way and making a vote that would have been in their interest, they were worried about voting for Donald Trump. And I believe that they should go bankrupt in this entire thing, and I have to just sit back and be thankful for what I have accomplished here, what we have accomplished here, my friends, because you guys tune in to watch my videos and help my channel grow on a daily basis. When all of these Trump-humping truck drivers start to lose their fucking asses, I will be over there in line somewhere around January or February, at least contemplating the idea that I can buy a new truck all my own, not a brand new truck, but a truck all my own, because some Trump-humping truck driver chose loyalty to Trump over feeding his family, and I'm going to buy those trucks cheap, baby. I'm going to buy those trucks cheap. I have been setting myself up for this last year, for the last year, making sure that I could overcome what was going to happen, because I have a long enough memory to remember the damage that Donald Trump caused to the trucking industry last time he was in office. And you've got to be a goddamn idiot if you think I'm not going to take advantage of that this time, while all the Trump-humping truck drivers sit their asses at home trying to figure out what they're going to do for their next paycheck. Not my fucking problem. I tried to tell you. I knew all along, and here we go. We keep watching as more and more trucking companies crash to the fucking ground. And I better go, because once you get me started talking about trucking, I'll be here for a fucking hour, and nobody wants to listen to that. So I better get back to work. Love you guys. Bye now.